when and where Avenatti was arrested? Because he said he was going to have a presser tomorrow on this.
Avenatti was arrested at the location where the Monday meeting was supposed to occur. Yes.
Did his tweet this morning hasten his arrest in any way?
No comment.
Hashtag Basta. Michael Avenatti. I'm sure you've heard of this guy before. He is the slimy individual that became well known for his defense of some woman most people have never heard of until recently. That woman, with a horse face that some refer to as Mrs. Ed, was portrayed as a powerful female figure for her profession of sleeping with wealthy men and selling her body by the hour. The media told us that this brave woman, Stormy Daniels she's called, was in fact the end for Donald Trump. They said this more times than I can remember, so certainly it must be true. Michael Avenatti appeared on CNN 74 times over the course of 2 months, and now that it has been revealed that Michael Avenatti was working with a CNN legal analyst, Mark Garagos, it seems clear why. It wasn't his lack of charm or insight that brought him on screen, or considering that this is CNN we're talking about, maybe that was the case. Either way, Avenatti has positioned himself as the anti-Trump lawyer who also planned on running for president in 2020. Imagine how surprised I was when I was informed that Avenatti was arrested for allegedly attempting to extort Nike for millions of dollars, threatening to ruin the company's market value if they didn't give in to his demands. There is quite a bit of irony here. First, his partner was the same guy who represented Colin Kaepernick in his lawsuit, who, if you can remember, received a massive endorsement from Nike not too long ago. On top of that, Garagos is currently representing Jussie Smollett, the man who staged a laughably pathetic attack on himself. Avenatti and Garagos have ended up going after their own benefactors in what I can only imagine was a short-sighted act of megalomania. Avenatti, at the very least, thought he was so big and so bad that a massive company like Nike would bend to his will. So now let's take a look at the NYPD's timeline that was provided at the press conference that you saw at the beginning of this video. The alleged extortion scheme timeline, United States versus Michael Avenatti, Day 1, March 19th. Avenatti meets with Nike representatives, threatens to hold a press conference the following day accusing Nike of involvement in the basketball bribery scandal unless Nike agrees to make multi-million-dollar payments to Avenatti under the guise of legal work. Later that day, Nike notified the SDNY of Avenatti's threats. The following day, March 20th, Avenatti calls them saying, "I'm not fucking around with this and I'm not going to play games. And it's worth more in exposure to me to just blow the lid on this thing. A few $1 million doesn't move the needle for me," he says. He continued, "And I'll proceed with my press conference tomorrow and I'll hang up with you now. And I'll go take $10 billion off your client's market cap. But I'm not fucking around." And then the following day, on March 21st, Avenatti said, "Have you held the balls of the client in your hand where you could take $5 to $6 billion market cap off of them?" Now wait a minute, I thought it was $10 billion. Well, you know what, maybe we shouldn't worry about inconsistencies when we're talking about Michael Avenatti. Now let's take a look at the CNBC article on the subject. About 15 minutes after that tweet, Avenatti was arrested in Midtown Manhattan for his alleged involvement in a scheme to extort Nike for as much as $25 million. He also faces separate federal charges in a case in Los Angeles where he is accused of wire and bank fraud. In the second case, he allegedly embezzled his own client's money to pay his expenses and debts and used phony tax returns to obtain millions of dollars in loans. That doesn't look good. Avenatti's co-conspirator is high-profile criminal defense attorney Mark Garagos. People familiar with the matter told NBC News. Garagos is currently defending actor Jussie Smollett, who is being prosecuted by Chicago authorities for faking a racially charged attack on himself. He also represented football player Colin Kaepernick in his fight against the National Football League. In the Los Angeles federal case, Avenatti is accused in a 197-page complaint of negotiating a $1.6 million settlement for a client in a civil case, but then giving the client a bogus settlement agreement with a false payment date of March 10, 2018. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles said Avenatti misappropriated his client's settlement money and used it to pay expenses for his coffee business, Global Baristas US LLC, which operated Tully's coffee stores in California and Washington State, as well as for his own expenses. When the fake March 2018 deadline passed and the client asked where the money was, Avenatti continued to conceal that the payment had already been received, according to prosecutors. Mr. Avenatti is facing serious criminal charges alleging he misappropriated client trust funds for his personal use and defrauded a bank by submitting phony tax returns in order to obtain millions of dollars in loans, U.S. Attorney Nick Hanna said. Hanna's office said Avenatti allegedly defrauded a bank in Mississippi by submitting to that bank fake tax returns to get 3 loans totaling $4.1 million for his law firm and coffee business in 2014. The tax returns indicated that he had substantial income, even though he had never filed any such returns with the Internal Revenue Service, the prosecutor's office said. The phony returns stated that he earned $4.5 million in adjusted gross income in 2011, $5.4 million in 2012, and $4 million in 2013. Avenatti allegedly also claimed he paid $1.6 million in estimated tax payments to the IRS in 2012 and paid $1.25 million in 2013. In reality, Avenatti never filed personal income tax returns for 2011, 2012, and 2013, and did not make any estimated tax payments in 2012 and 2013, Hanna's office said. Instead of the millions of dollars he claimed to have paid in taxes, Avenatti still owed the IRS $850,438 in unpaid personal income tax, plus interest and penalties for the tax years 2009 and 2010. Avenatti also submitted a fictitious partnership tax return for his law firm, the investigator said. U.S. Attorney for Los Angeles, Nicola Hanna, said, on his Twitter account, Mr. Avenatti describes himself as attorney, advocate, fighter for good. But the allegations in this case describe something different. A corrupt lawyer who instead fights for his own selfish interests by misappropriating close to $1 million that rightfully belonged to one of his clients. It really is always projection with these people. Even when they're telling others that they will be going to jail, it turns out that they themselves are the ones that will be going to jail. This was also the case when Avenatti attempted to rebrand himself as some sort of feminist and a defender of the respect that women deserve. For Avenatti, though, that was also projection. You see, he was also arrested not too long ago for threatening his woman, saying to the police, well, she hit me first. Stunning defense by a man who must have passed the bar exam on a technicality.
Security at his apartment said that Michael yelled, "She hit me first." According to law enforcement, he was trying to kick the woman out of his apartment when the domestic violence occurred. He calls the accusations completely bogus.
I did not hit her. Oh, hi, Mark.
Avenatti has made bail, signing a $300,000 personal reconnaissance bond, meaning that he did not post any actual money for the bond. Instead, he will have to forfeit property to pay for it if he fails to appear in court. On his first day in court, Avenatti was appointed a federal public defender, apparently unable to provide the funds necessary for legal defense. He has also been ordered to have no further contact with his alleged co-conspirator, Mark Garagos. Avenatti has also had his passport revoked and is not allowed to transfer more than $5,000 from any of his bank accounts without first getting approval. As even more irony would have it, Avenatti's hearing took place in the very same courthouse that Michael Cohen pleaded guilty in. Since making bail, Avenatti has posted to Twitter in his defense, saying the following: I want to thank all of my supporters for your kind words and support today. It means a lot to me, and I am anxious for people to see what really happened. We never attempted to extort Nike, and when the evidence is disclosed, the public will learn the truth about Nike's crime and cover-up. So there you have it. Avenatti will be cleared, he says. I would expect that this case, if discussed on the mainstream at all, will be dismissed as trying to distract from Russia Trump. Yes, I know some of you out there are thinking that Mueller's report came out with no further indictments, but that doesn't mean that the media will stop. They will continue to speculate without any evidence that something could have happened, and because we haven't seen the fully unredacted document, we may never know. Funny, I am sure some of you remember the same people that are suddenly supporters of transparency in the case of Mueller's report were directly against it when it was in regards to Devin Nunes' memo. People like Adam Schiff made it out to be a bad thing that people were able to read for themselves, acting as though the American people did not need to see the contents of the memo. You might also remember that that memo did not contain anything we didn't already know when it was finally released. Still, people like Eric Swallowswell, a man who suggested dropping a nuke on his own people, continue to claim that we don't know something didn't happen, because we need to see the completely unredacted documents. Well, this time, and only this time, I can agree on that. Let's see the fully unredacted report. The thing is, all of these people that are calling for that know damn well none of us are ever going to get the fully unredacted report. and so they can continue screaming in the corner about how bad Orange Man is, while the rest of us continue to do what we do. Live well.